We're live.
All right. Hey, we're live. Oh, we're live. Okay.
Oh
Gotcha.
yeah, we're live.
Hey, great. Hey, here we are again. We only take a break on like a holiday. So Mother's Day and Memorial Day weekend, we didn't do a live. We're even thinking about moving it to the week sometime, just to kind of maybe possibly get some more people to be able to watch. Maybe it'll be easier like Wednesday night or something like that. I don't know.
Yeah.
But the lives are good. They kind of help guide people through what's going on and when. You want to scooch this way a little bit?
Oh.
Yeah, there we go.
Okay.
Yeah. And so we can talk about topics of what's current and what's going on in the weather and what we're doing in the lawn, things like that, which is great. And matter of fact, today is June 1st. And so for the people who have a 5-step program that are part of our program is going to have their first or their second app going down now. And actually, some of them might have even put it down a week ago or so. We put out the reminder to put it down a little bit a while ago. The only thing that can differ in those situations is, say, for example, they put their May 1st down a little late, like middle of May instead of right on time. And then they're going to come up to their June 1st application. You want to try to make sure it's at least 3 to 4 weeks apart from your first app. So if you put yours down late, you have to push your other one a little farther. And then when it comes to your 4th of July one, you should be able to get back on schedule with your 4th of July application. Yeah. Tongue-tied today. I don't know what the deal is.
It's Sunday.
Yeah, it is Sunday. Seed heads, they're starting to die. I've done a couple videos on those. They do zap a lot of energy out of the grass, right? And so what we've been seeing because of the seed head pressure, not to mention the fact that it's losing its green color just because now you have brown mixed with green or yellowish leaves that are dying on those seed stems. That's throwing the color off a little bit. But also it's zapping the energy out. So you are losing a little bit of nitrogen from all of what is used to produce those seeds. And so I'm seeing some people coming up and having some pink red thread. And so I've seen a few spots here and there, not real bad this year compared to what I've normally seen in the past, but there is some red thread out there. But it's probably a lack of rain why we don't have such a large pressure.
Yeah,
right.
For sure.
We've kind of been real low on rain still. I mean, we get some rains here and there. The amounts haven't really been significant. We did get that 1-inch rain. That's kind of sustained us pretty good. But everything else has been really small. And so here in the next coming week, it's going to start to get warm again. And I thought it was going to be in the 80s. That's what they were calling for originally, for 80s starting Monday and all through the next week. But it looks like now it's kind of broke up a little bit. And we're doing 80s on Monday and Tuesday. Tuesday will be 90, near 90. But then it drops down to mid 70s pretty much. And there's some rain on Wednesday and Thursday, chance of rain. And that's good. And so we're kind of into our summer beat now. And so in order to keep a rhythm up with keeping your turf healthy, not overwatering it, because we're starting to see some diseases because of the temperatures and mushrooms because of the temperatures where we're at. And so excess water can spur more of that on, right? Now, that doesn't mean that you don't have mushrooms if you haven't been overwatering. Mushrooms don't need a whole lot of water in order to pop up. Morel mushrooms, for example, I mean, they pop up at a certain time of year, right? It's still all about temperatures, soil temps, and what's going on. And you'll see different types of mushrooms through the year. But right now we're having kind of a mushroom push, and we really haven't had that much moisture. So it's just kind of the temperatures and the way it is. Mushrooms aren't bad. It actually shows you have a healthy soil, and it actually helps enrich that soil. So, every time you see mushrooms, don't use it as a sign of I'm overwatering or I'm doing this wrong or I'm doing something wrong. What am I doing wrong? It's just a natural thing. It happens all the time. And sometimes it's worse than others. I know that when I was a superintendent, one of my best friends, which was another superintendent, we'd call each other and we'd be like, welcome to fungus world or whatever, when we knew mushrooms were just blowing up everywhere. And we'd be like, he'd have something way more smart and whippy to say about it. But it was always fun when we talked about mushrooms, right? And they're not a big deal. It doesn't mean disease pressures are high or nothing like that. It's just all about just a natural occurrence in the soil that's doing to break down organic matters and enrich the soils, which is good. Mushrooms are good. They're just not very sightly. Luckily, they don't last very long, so no big deal.
Well, really quick, back to the seed heads.
Yeah.
Jim did have a question. He said, do the seeds actually contribute to filling in the grass?
They do to a degree. Yeah, they definitely increase the population of seeds available of that variety of turf in your soil, and it can sit around in that soil for quite a long time. I've seen seed germinate 10 years after it was there. And so it does help the populations of your good turf. So it is a good natural thing, because we do want, a regeneration of grass. I mean, the grass you're looking at now, it's not the grass you had 5 years ago. Those are all new plants that have kind of, turned themselves over and changed and grown. And so they're always kind of moving, and some are dying and some are growing in new. And so your lawn is ever changing. Right. And so that's why it can't stay carpet all the time. It'll even start to modify itself and called colonization, where you'll start seeing patches of grass that look a little different than the rest of your grass. Typically, this is like year 20, maybe even 15. You'll start seeing these like different types of patches. Even if it's still all bluegrass, it'll still colonize. And some bluegrasses will green up quicker or seed harder or all kinds of stuff. And so that's why in the spring on an old lawn, especially, it looks so strange. You got all these patches. Some are growing faster and some aren't, and some are seeding, some aren't. And so it's just chaos after a while. That's just a natural process of turf, just kind of the way it goes. You just kind of put up with it until that period of time goes over. But yeah, it does help, but not a whole bunch.
Yeah. He said, yeah, have that.
Yeah. Also, allergies have been real bad. I mean, now we got the cottonwoods.
Yeah.
Those are starting to really push out a lot of stuff. They're going full force now. And then we also have the poison ivies blowing up right now as well. So just kind of a bunch of stuff going on.
Still seeing pollen on the car when we get in.
Definitely lots of pollen on the car still. Yep. So it's just kind of that allergy type of season if you're allergy ridden kind of person. Luckily, I'm not that bad. I work outside. I have some allergies, but they're not too bad. So that's good. Let's talk about also being ready for the season, like what we would need, right? So our watering is going to be real important. It's one of the hardest things to do. I'll talk about watering all the time because it's going to be the first thing on our minds. I mean, we'd constantly worry about watering as a superintendent on a golf course. That was just all the time. Water, 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 not water, overwater, trying to make things right for play and keep the grass alive. And so I definitely encourage everybody to get a rain gauge. I mean, if you don't have a rain gauge and you're not monitoring how much water is coming down from rain in order to adjust your irrigation system, you're never going to have a good lawn. It's going to always struggle with too much wetness or too dry. You'll never know where to actually pinpoint what you're doing. So, when we have these thunderstorms, my house might get a half an inch of rain, but my neighbor, a couple neighborhoods over, is getting an inch of rain, right? So it can change. My mother-in-law lives on the river and she gets different rain events. Sometimes they get rain and we don't get rain, right? It seems to happen that way a lot. We get skipped a bunch. I don't know why that is. But north of the St. Joe River seems to get a lot more rain than south of the St. Joe River. It just seems the way it's always been. And so, yeah, watch that rain. Get a rain gauge. Get a fun one. Try to make sure that it works right. It can't be a straight rain gauge. It's got to have some sort of tapering to it. Hey, John, how's it going? And so it has to taper and have a certain thing to it. So just get on Amazon, find some, or even YouTube some stuff about what's a good rain gauge. Or maybe one day I'll even come up with another video of how to choose a good rain gauge, right? But they're pretty simple.
And they're not expensive.
No, I do have some examples and some videos on rain gauges and things like that. Another good thing to have a gauge for, I get these little tiny rain gauges. They're actually called irrigation gauges. And we'll put them in the yard. And when I run my irrigation, I'll know if I'm putting enough water down. It's real important too. A lot of people, they're just running 30 minutes, every morning, or 30 minutes 3 times a week, or whatever it is per zone, 30 minutes. And that can be just 0.2 of an inch of water, which is nothing. You can't sustain at 0.2 of an inch of water. So make sure you're putting out that little rain gauge, because maybe at 30 minutes and you have like 6 gallon a minute nozzles, which is twice as much. Maybe you're putting down, 0.4 or something like that. So That's why those little gauges to check and see what we're actually doing, how much water we're actually putting down. Once you actually know those numbers, then watering becomes a whole lot easier, right? Now I know how much I'm watering, and then I get used to how much my turf desires and all that fun stuff. Right now is also the time I'm going to start switching when I'm mowing, especially when it gets into the 70s and 80s. I'm going to start mowing in the evening time. So that way I'm not stressing my turf out. I know we always want to get out in the morning and get it mowed right away. And that's a great plan to get things done as far as chores and stuff. But if you mow the grass early in the morning, then you take off to the lake, you're going to come back to some crispy grass if it was a real hot, dry day. So, and also you're going to save water. So especially if you're using city water or something like that, and it's expensive, mowing in the evening is going to save you a ton of water time. It's just going to do it that way. We only water about 12 to 15 times a year, and I water with a hose, and that's why I do that. I'm really efficient with my watering, and so I just, let it get a little dry first, and then water it really good, right? I always say a dry lawn is much easier to manage than a wet, diseased lawn, right? And so reason being is, once it's wet and there's diseases there, you have to wait for it to dry out before you can start fixing it, right? And even then, now you have that disease pressure, the mycelia all over the place, and if it rains again, it just activates those again, right? But if it's dry, I can turn the water on right now, and it'll start getting better right now, right? So there's the mindset you got to keep yourself in to help you keep your lawns with the right amount of moisture on it and reduce that amount of disease pressure, right? Is there any questions? We got any good questions out there? I'd love questions. We need questions. It'll spur on the conversation and it'll definitely make things better. So don't be afraid to, write down some questions during the week. Oh, let's see, Seth. I'm going to stump Seth with this one. I don't know. Do something fun. I don't care. It's no big deal. I might say, well, I don't know. I'll have to do research on that, whatever. Talk about some warm season grasses if we want. We can talk about golf courses. Oh, speaking of golf courses, right?
Yeah.
So the picture, I got like this weird spike going on there. Now it's sideways.
I know. My cheeks are pink. I got some sun.
So the screenshot that we had that's before the live starts, that's actually of the camping course down at Purdue. I was involved in constructing that, and I actually got an opportunity to do some design on there. Now, it was kind of just a lucky thing. Not a lot of people got to design anything because it was a Pete Dye design, and he's very controlling on what's going to exactly happen in a good way, too. He was a fantastic man. I really enjoyed actually being able to speak and get to know Pete Dye. That was very fun and a huge what is it?
Inspiration?
Inspiration. I don't know. I just felt really lucky about that. But anyways, in that bunker, if you look at it, that front bunker right there, it was me and two of my other buddies. We were supposed to clean it up and start doing some stuff around it. And I looked at it and I'm like, wow, it'd look really cool if we did this, that, and the other to my friends. And Pete Dye happened to be standing up on the hill on the other side, and he had his dog with him, and he was with the superintendent. And they go, well, go ask Pete. And so I was like, all right. So I ran up the hill and I ran up to Pete and I go, hey guys, I'm sorry. I don't want to interrupt. And I hopped down right on the ground there, right in front of him at his feet. And this might've been why he said, go for it, whatever. And so in the dirt, I start molding what I think this thing should look like, in the dirt right below his feet. And I go, look, it would look really cool if we did this. And he goes, hey, go for it. If I don't like it, we'll just change it. And I said, okay, well, it's there today. So that's good. He liked it. So that was kind of fun.
And that's the camping course, right?
Yeah. The bunker arrangement around the green on number 4 at the camping course. So that was just super fun, super enjoyable moment.
Oh, we had 2 questions that came right in. Okay. So here's Jim first.
Okay.
Tried treating my persistent dry areas today. You did a video recently on that. Easy to see those areas at the right angle and then feel the crunchy grass right next to nice areas.
Yep. Hydrophobic zones, right? Yeah. In those situations, you will need to use a wetting agent. That really, really will help you in that. Like we'd have those things on our bunker faces on the golf course where it's just impossible to keep those places green and dry or wet because, it's a slope and sand on it all the time. So we use these wetting agents and they work fantastic. The one that we have is really inexpensive. and it covers like 8,000 square feet. I don't use it the same. So watch that video on how I use it. I get it a little bit thicker in there, probably only covers 4,000 square feet by the time I'm done with it. But then you can get the refills and fill it up very inexpensively. And that's a really good idea to use on a lawn that uses city water too. Yeah, because you could probably reduce your watering by half. And so if it's charging you, oh goodness, $300 a month, you can cut it down to $150 a month, right?
They said, near the street curb area is always rough, south facing front lawn.
Definitely.
For sure.
You use one of those wetting agents, you're going to be just tickled pink on how much nicer and longer it actually stands. In that spot that I sprayed in that video, actually, I think it was a couple days later, we started getting really dry, and it was the only non-stressed area in the whole lawn area. So that was pretty cool to see it in working and literally flipping the script on dryness. So yeah, those are really handy, very easy to use.
And then John, so when irrigating, do you have to hand water corners if they appear to be missed by sprinkler spray patterns like sidewalk and driveway corners?
Yes, you do. And that's where it's a good thing to have those little measuring gauges, those little rain gauges, right? Especially in those hotter spots in the corners and stuff, it's going to get a little bit like that. So use that little gauge, put that in there, make sure that you're overlapping enough to really get those corners. And it might simply be just from the radiating heat of the concrete, using those wetting agents in those corners and spots. I mean, that's how you're going to fix them and make it easier for you. I know I'm not trying to push the wetting agents, but they really are handy. I mean, they made me look like a rock star on the golf course. I taught some techniques to other courses actually that we had learned to help them with their hot spots on their collars. That can be a real big issue on golf courses. And it was amazing. It really changed it. Made life a lot easier on superintendents.
Well, and my mom swears by it too.
Oh yeah,
she has a big lawn and she really struggles to stay on top of the watering, so she uses it. And
sandy soil, pure sun, just gets beat down on it. No irrigation, so super sandy.
She really likes it.
Yeah, they help a ton. They really do. Those little things are going to help you a lot, and then that'll keep you from overwatering and then getting diseases in the center of your lawn, right? So, I mean, that's kind of the different things that you can do to balance out that watering and make sure. And actually, those things really help. Not only they don't make it wetter, they make water more useful in that corner, right? And so now it's not going to do the opposite and start getting diseases or something in areas you sprayed this. It actually breaks the surface tension of that water, and so it's more absorbable, and so it'll suck into the roots and it'll pull into the soil rather than running off before it evaporates. And so that's what makes it more effective. And so it doesn't spur on extra disease. As a matter of fact, it reduces that because it doesn't let it stay wet too long. So matter of fact, on my greens, when I'd spray my greens for the next 3 days, because I'd always add a little bit of this wetting agent into my green spray, which had fungicide, it had nutrients in there, wetting agents, growth regulators, all these things in my tank. And so I'd add in that wetting agent, and actually I wouldn't have dew on my greens for the first 3 days after we sprayed, which was fantastic for disease.
Well, that's pretty cool.
Disease reducing pressure, right? So yeah,
super cool. You learn something new every day.
Yeah.
Speaking of which, did we talk about ants?
Oh,
did we talk about the ants? Because we learned a lot about ants this week.
Yeah, it's been interesting. So the ants have been horrible this year, and they're really affecting the grass. And I actually, I learned something this week about certain ants that are in our lawn, and that their secretions actually affect vegetation in a negative manner. So I was wondering why, and I thought it was just because they're pulling up the sand and dirt, and so they thin out the turf because these ants, and it's the harvester ants, and it happened to be one that was not covered by the insecticide we were using,
the Entice.
The Entice. So it was kind of interesting because that forced me then to learn more about the ants there in that situation. So yeah, harvester ants.
Ants.
You got to get rid of those in the lawn. They definitely thin out the turf. There's plenty of other kinds of ants.
And they pack a punch with a sting, man. Yeah,
they do. I was getting bit up and it hurt for like 3 days or so.
Yeah. And we even think our little dog had some bites on his tummy.
Oh yeah.
So
from playing in the grass.
Yeah. Yep. So we do have a new product coming in
Yep.
Hopefully this week that we'll take care of those. So
Yep. It says it takes care of those. And so
it's
we'll
interesting
find
how
out.
we have to have a couple different products to
Well, think about how many varieties.
how many
of ants.
varieties. Crazy.
I mean, there's just immeasurable numbers of ant species. It's
Yeah.
unbelievable. And they're so different from each other. It's pretty cool. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
Any other questions? That was kind of a fun one.
That was. See, those questions helped out, guys.
They
Thank
did.
you so much.
It
I
does.
appreciate
It spurs it. We're going to try and
Thanks,
start
John,
keeping
Jim.
questions as we
keep
go
hopping
through the
on.
week. And
Appreciate it.
yeah.
Yeah. Don't be afraid to ask me crazy questions. I like them. So
Yeah.
All right. Thanks, guys. Hey, well, we're going to end it. Or unless we got another.
Oh, wait. He says the ant reference
Yeah.
has me questioning grass in front of my house along the street curb.
Yeah.
It's getting a bigger gap when trimming it. And at the edge, it seems the grass is struggling.
Mm-hmm.
Snap a picture and send it to us.
Yeah. And these ants, the harvester ants, are really small little guys.
Yeah.
And so that's how you can kind of identify them. They're reddish, right? And they're real small. But yeah, send us a picture.
Yeah.
We'll definitely take a look at it. Yeah. Yeah, because that could be a combo problem, right? That could be also why the grass is struggling right there and drying out faster, because they really put a wallop on the turf.
They do.
Matter of fact, the area that we have them really bad in our backyard tends to be the area that stresses out first.
It is.
In the backyard.
It is. It is.
It's
for
thinner
sure.
though, so there's more soil, more
Mhm.
evaporation. Grass works kind of as an insulator, holds water down in the ground. So there's that part as well.
So yeah, send us a
All
picture
right.
of that spot and we'll take a look at it.
All
right, cool.
Great.
Well, we hope you guys have a great week.
Yep. We'll see you next Sunday, 4 o'clock.
Sunday. All right.
All right. Tell your friends. Yeah.